Hello, boys and girls, and anyone else who's joining us today. This is Meds Mnemonics. Just want to preface, this is actually my first video. I've never made one before. I realized that when I was going through medical school and trying to make all these mnemonics, I realized I didn't really want this to go to waste because all the time it got sunk into making those, and I just had them laying around. So I felt that I should give back to YouTube land that really helped me through my studying while I was in med school. So I thought I'd get back to you guys and help you save a little bit of time and see if this would actually be helpful. So this is essentially a litmus test. I'm not exactly sure how this is going to go. I do apologize if it's a little choppy or not as fluid. This is the first time I've ever done this. I'm not very techy. I'm going to see how this goes. And yeah, and if you guys like this, click the like button. If you want more of these videos, please leave a comment below if your heart desires, and subscribe to the channel so I can know that if you guys really want me to make more videos, I can do that. Also, I'm going to swear a lot through this video. I do have a disclaimer later in the video about this, but if swearing does offend you, then I'm not sorry and tough shit. So, okay, I think I got all that stuff out of the way. Let's advance to the next slide. So this is going to be medicine explained. Don't stress. Not the best mnemonic, but I made it up in 20 seconds, so it stuck and it works. This is a pretty important slide. This is a medical disclaimer, as you can read. This whole video and this whole concept really is just for educational purposes and for fun. So if you actually need medical advice or diagnoses or treatment, go see a healthcare professional that actually knows what they're doing. And that's what they're for. This is specifically just for fun and to help you shave some time off your studying time and to have a good laugh and take a break from studying something so monotonous that makes you want to smash your head against a wall for hours. So the whole point is this is for fun and don't sue my ass. Again, disclaimer about profanity and adult language. Obviously, I'm going to swear a lot. If you don't like it, I really don't know what to tell you. And if you happen to be 5 years old and you stumbled upon this video, you should maybe turn this off and go watch cartoons because I don't think your parents are really going to be very happy about you hearing about swearing and vaccine schedules. So that being said, this is actually the first topic. It's going to be vaccine schedule. The reason I chose this topic is I thought the video would be nice and short and fairly straightforward. Just to, forewarn you, I'm not going to explain how vaccines work. I'm not going to go into physiology, pathophys, or any of that stuff. This is specifically just for the schedule and how to memorize it. This was such a pain in the ass to memorize for boards and for exams. But if you do commit these to memory, you're going to get easy questions right. And the more questions you get right, the better your score is going to be. And you can be whatever kind of PA, medical doctor, or MP, or whatever you want to be. It's just going to make you more kick ass. So that's the whole point of these videos. And that's why I chose this topic, because I thought it was actually fairly straightforward. And it shouldn't take that much brain space or time to commit to memory. So yeah, this is what I felt about this topic. Feels like you're being kicked in the junk. So let's get started. So this is going to be the vaccine list. It's going to be here on the right. It's going to be actually presented in this order. So it's going to be Hep A, polio, TDaP, H1N1, pneumococcal, rotavirus, MMR, Hep A, varicella, meningococcal, TDaP, and HPV. So it's going to be in this order. I know there's other viruses and other schedules, but I feel like these are the main ones that I'm going to focus on delivering to you. So let's get started. The first one is going to be hepatitis B. So the concept for this one is just think of Bs. It's going to be 3 doses. So the first one is going to be when you're born. B is for born. So it's going to be at birth. So when you get kicked out of mama, boom, you're going to get shot in the thigh. You're getting Hep B. Well, not Hep B, but the vaccine. Second is going to be for B. B is the second letter of the alphabet. So it's going to be at 2 months. So again, B is for born. B is the second letter of the alphabet. It's 2 months. Now, if you take B and make it lowercase, it actually looks like the number 6. So it's going to be actually at 6 months. Let's put it all together. Boom. Doses are for birth, 2 months, and 6 months. So this is hepatitis B. Very straightforward. This one's knocked out. Just remember, the B's is the theme for Hep B. Memorize this. Can't get this question wrong. Okay, so next is going to be vaccines. It's going to be at 2 and 4, 6 months. So over here on the left, it's going to be polio, TDaP, H influenza, and pneumococcal and rotavirus. Put all these together, we're going to put it into one mnemonic. It's going to be pool dipper. So if you look here on the right, it's going to be pool is for polio, D is for TDaP, H is I is for influenza, P is for pneumococcal, and R is for rotavirus. Just remember pull dipper, it's going to be easy as 2, 4, 6. You're going to memorize when to give these at 2 and 4, 6 months. I love this mnemonic. It's very straightforward. It's not hard to remember. Pull and dip, they kind of go together. Remember polio, it's very straightforward. I love this mnemonic. It got me a lot of questions right. Very easy. Okay, moving on. So these are going to be the vaccines. They're going to be given at 1 and 4 years. There's actually going to be 3 infectious diseases that are tied into this mnemonic. This one's a little tricky, but I thought it's very good, and it does rhyme, so it does stick a little bit better. So the mnemonic is going to be 1 plus 4 is more. So what we want to look at here is look at the number 1. The first letter of the alphabet is A. I hope that's not a shock to you. This is going to be for Hep A. So 1 is A, is Hep A. Okay, so now we're going to move on to the next part. This is the 1 plus 4. Use your hand for counting, not for something else. If you do 1 plus 4 equals 5, it's going to be the Roman numeral for V, which is 5. This is going to be for varicella, which early on is chickenpox, and later in life, you get shingles, which shit sucks. There is a vaccine for that, but I'm not going to talk about that in this video. And then the last part is going to be more. It's going to be the M and the R is going to be for MMR. And it's going to be for mumps, measles, and rubella. So I'll back up. 1 is for A, for Hep A. 1 plus 4 is the Roman numeral V is for varicella. M and the R is for MMR. Put this all together. 1 in 4 years is going to be Hep A, varicella, MMR. Boom, we're done. I know this one's a little tricky, but it's actually not that bad. Just remember, 1 plus 4 is more. And it rhymes. It's kind of cute. Okay, so meningococcal meningitis and TDaP. Okay, this one sucks a little bit from understanding standpoint. It's a little tricky of a mnemonic, but it does work. It has stuck with me for quite some time when I haven't thought about it for like 6 months to almost a year on end. So the mnemonic here is what we're going to do is take the first 4 letters of meningococcal. You're going to take the men and the I, and you're going to separate them out in men-I. Men rhymes with 10, and then the I is going to look like a 1, and do 10 plus 1 equals 11. So you'll see that here when I wrote it right here. So this is where the 10 plus 1 is going to equal 11, 12 years old. Again, a little bit of math. If you need a calculator, it's on the screen. Just punch it in. Boom. Just remember the first 4 letters, spread them out, and it's going to equal 11 to 12 years old. Now, the awesome part is TDaP is also 11 and 12 years old, but the T for here is for every 10 years. So when you actually go into the PCP office or if you're in the emergency department, they always ask you, when was your last tetanus shot? They're referring to this part. So when you're at your PCP, because the vaccine, it kind of starts to wax and wane a little bit at the edge of like 9 to 10 years. So that's why you have to do another what's called a booster on top of it to kind of boost the immunity so that the vaccine still is effective. And they do it every 10 years. So to recap, just remember, first 4 letters, spread them out. Men rhymes with 10, plus the I is going to equal 11 to 12 years old. I know this is not the most straightforward mnemonic, but it does stick. It stuck with me for quite some time. And then T's for Q every 10 years. So I hope this one help this one stick if you ever come across it in a test question. Okay, so for the grand finale, HPV. This one is such a pain in the dick, and I don't mean that literally. So this one is actually very complicated because there's multiple components because there are 2 parts or 2 schedules that go to HPV. That being said, test takers love to test about this because it's confusing. It's kind of the pain in the ass. No one wants to memorize it, but they love to write questions about it and kind of trick you in getting it wrong. But I've written a pretty good mnemonic. It's very short and it is straightforward. And as long as you can follow the pattern of what I'm trying to get at with what the mnemonic's doing, you should be able to memorize this and get test questions right on test day. Okay, so that being said, let's dive in. So here's the mnemonic. It's HPV is bad as fuck. So the first part is actually extremely important. Is looks like the number 15, and it's 15 years old. Okay, so this is really important and one of the hardest parts to memorize, is that at 15 years old, if you're younger than 15, you're going to get a different dose schedule versus if you're over 15, which is going to be another different schedule for dosing. And there are different amounts of dosing. And I'll go into that in about a second. So what we're going to do is first focus on for like when it's actually before 15 years old. So here is BAD, and this is the next part of the mnemonic. So the first part is going to be B is for before 15 years old. And then B is the second letter in the alphabet. Again, the kind of recurring theme, how to memorize things using numbers and letters, is going to be B is for 2 doses. So Before 15 years old, if you're 13 and you come in the office and you say, I want the HPV vaccine, you're going to get 2 doses. So now the A is for when it's actually administered. So when you go in the office, you say you want it and they have it and they're going to give it to you that day, that's 0. And then the next part is going to be D. Make it lowercase and then flip it. It looks like a 6. Again, I know that was like another mnemonic, but try to keep them separate. It looks like 6 months. So if you put this all together for BAD, it's the second letter, 2 doses, A is for administer, and then little backwards D is going to be 6 months. Put it all together, and there you go. Before 15 years old, you're going to get the HPV vaccine at 2 doses at 0 and 6 months. Okay, so this one is going to be a little tricky. Now we're going to move to after 15 years old. So this is the AF. I know there's not a lot here for 2 letters, but I really did stretch this one out, and I hope you kind of see the vision that I had when I made this mnemonic. So A, as you can guess, is for after 15 years old. This part I actually thought was really clever, is that it takes 3 dashes to write the letter A. So you have to write a left, a right, and then a cross. It takes 3 dashes to do that, so it's going to be 3 doses for after 15 years old. Versus before 15 years old, it's 2 doses, but with after, it's actually 3. This is where test takers really love to fuck you up because they want to see if you know before and after 15, and if it's 2 or 3 doses, and then what months you actually give them. So that's what I'm going to talk to you about right now for after. A is for administer at 0. Again, when in the office and they have it and they can give it to you, you get a shot in the arm or wherever they're going to shoot you. This is going to be A for administered at 0. AF is 2 letters, so you're going to get it 2 months after you're administered at 0. And then F, I actually had to look this up and count it, is actually the 6th letter in the alphabet. So just remember A for administer, AF for 2 letters is 2 months, and then F is the 6th alphabet letter. Boom, you know the scheduling for that. Let's piece it all together. After 15 years old, it's going to be 3 doses. Remember, the 3 dashes in drawing the letter A is going to be at 0, 2, and 6. Sorry, that was a mouthful. I know this is a lot, especially just for one infectious disease, but it's actually very helpful, and they love to test this question. Like, they love it. They love it, they love it, they love it. I cannot explain this enough. I've seen it on both my boards. I've seen a lot of my exams. They really try to trick you with this one because it is tricky. But hopefully, HPV is bad as fuck is actually very helpful. You can split it in before, you can split it in after. You're going to have the 2 doses and then the 3 doses. So I hope this one's helpful. You're going to have to probably go through this one a few times to really help this one stick. But everything you've seen in this video so far, I would say memorize this one by far. This one is definitely important to nail down because they love to sneak this one in there because people just go, oh shit, I don't remember what to do before or after what age. I don't know what to do. I don't know if it's 2 or 3 or it's 0 and 6, 0 and 4. Like it's so confusing. So this hopefully keeps it nice and straight and forward, and gets that question right for you on test day. Okay, so this is a bit of a bonus slide. This is actually going to talk a little bit about types of immunity and types of vaccines. I know I wasn't really going to dive into this shit, but when I was going through my notes trying to think of what to put in this video and like what content and mnemonics to use, I ran across these and thought I'd share them. Okay, so we're going to talk about right here is passive immunity. So we're going to look at the first 4 letters and we're going to spread it out and use pass. It's going to be preformed antibodies and it's going to be a short duration, meaning like it doesn't last very long, from like weeks to months, not years, and then fast acting, meaning that you didn't make the antibodies that are actually going to be put into you more than likely through an IV when you're in hospital. So instead of you naturally getting sick from an infection from something and then building the immune response that takes weeks to actually build all those antibodies, that takes time. These are already made. They're already pre-made. So as you look at the bottom here, these are something that are passed on to you quickly. So an example would be like an antitoxin or a monoclonal antibody. This is something that was either made in another human body or it was made in a lab or it was genetically made. It's something that was already set up and then it was just passed on to you without your body have to do any work. So a good analogy of what this would be is if you had to write a paper in undergrad, which writing papers suck. So what you'd have to do is do all the research, write your paragraphs, proofread, edit, all that fun stuff, and then put it together and then turn it in. That's like your immune system like actually being infected by the actual disease. This is more like the paper's already done and someone just handed it to you and says, here you go, just go into class tomorrow and turn it in. That's exactly what passive immunity is. Something was passed on to you. You didn't have to do shit for this. All you had to do is accept it, gives a little bit of protection against the infectious disease, and then that's it. Okay, so moving on, we're going to do active immunity, We're going to do the same thing as we did with passive. We're going to take the first 3 letters this time and spread it out. So ACT is for natural, vaccines, and then toxoid. So natural infection, as you can guess, is like when you actually naturally get sick. So when you get the common cold, during the winter season, you actually get sick. You have the headache, the cough, the rhinorrhea, sore throat, all that fun shit, the fever. It's not fun. So you actually get sick. It takes your body about 2 weeks to actually do the innate and then the humoral adaptive response, build the antibodies in the B cells and what have you, and elicit, an immune response later on if you ever saw the foreign antigen in the future. That's natural. You actually get sick, your immune response actually develops an immune response to it, and then you're ready in the future if you ever see it again. Vaccines, very similar, but it's essentially building the immune response without actually getting sick. So you take a little piece of the virus or the infectious disease and then introduce it to your immune system, and then they can tag it and be like, look, if we see anything that has this component in the future, we'll be ready for it, and we'll make sure that we knock it out so the host has no idea it was infected in the first place. That's what vaccines are. It's active immunity. It's like a natural illness, but without actually getting sick. And then toxoid is just either for like tetanus or diphtheria. It's where the toxoid port is introduced to your body, and then it elicits your immune response and then builds those antibodies for future protection if you ever run into that disease in the future. So again, actually exposed to foreign antigens. It's a slow onset because your immune system actually has to build the machinery to build the antibodies for the future, but it lasts a lot longer. It can last for years to decades, depending on which vaccine it is. And the sad part is you actually get sick. Okay, so lastly, this is just really quick. It's just a list of types of vaccines. So when I was studying this actual topic, I was like, where the fuck do I even start? Like, there's like this kind and subunit, and like there's all these vaccines. Like, we've already gone through a huge list of them, and you kind of get confused as to which one's which. But what you really should do is back up and just focus on what types are there. So with using the word list, I made a list. So the first one's going to be live attenuated. That's one type. The other types are going to be inactivated, subunit, and then toxoid. I would say this is a good basis where to start when you're actually learning this topic is like, what kinds are they? And then figure out like which parts go in which subcategory of what kind they are. Because it's actually really important to figure out like which ones can you or cannot give to someone that's like immunocompromised, a pregnant female, or someone that's like a kid. So like that's actually very important to know what kinds they are and which ones can be administered to who and when. So this is a good place to start. And then you can go back and then go through all the vaccines and all the schedules and how they work and all that fun shit. Okay, so this is just a recap. Real quick, I'll go through it really fast just to kind of hammer it in one more time. So this is hepatitis B. Think of the B's. So it's born, second letter of the alphabet, and then little b looks like a 6. So born to 2 and 6 months. And then the whole cluster here over here, the polio, the TDaP, the influenza, the pneumococcal, the rotavirus. Just remember, pull dipper. Really easy. 2, 4, 6 months. Boom. Got that. It's done. Hep A, varicella, MMR. I know 1 plus 4 is more. It's a little tough to remember, but it rhymes. It works. I've gotten a question on this. It was very helpful. This one was very easy to commit to memory. The meningococcal and TDaP, the first 4 letters and spreading it out and doing a little bit of math. I know that's a bit of a stretch, but write that out once or twice. It should stick. And then it's the same thing for TDaP. HPV, to be honest, I would just go back to that slide and stare the shit out of it because you are going to get a question on that more likely than not if you are going to get a vaccine question. So I would really make sure you know that one and know the number of 15 and before and after. And if you can do that, like if you see that question, you're going to knock it out the fucking park, which is awesome. Because I really hated when I got that question wrong because it was something so simple and so easy to get right. You just have to commit it to memory. And we only have so much finite space where we can shove shit in our head. So hopefully that's actually a really helpful one. Okay, so that being said, this is the entire video. If you like this content, you like this concept of like what I'm trying to do of just give mnemonics and make your life a little bit easier. I know I didn't really explain any pathophys or anything really in depth. That's really not what I want to get into. I just want to like make this as quick and painless as possible. Just memorize shit, make it easy, hand it over to you, use it if you want, and then go from there. So that being said, with the vaccine schedule, I would actually watch this video like 1 or 2 more times just to really kind of hammer it in. And if you want to, you can write it down. You can screenshot the shit out of it. You can Anki it, do whatever you need to do to memorize it. So that being said, if you like this, click the like button and subscribe to my channel for future videos that are going to come out, and I'll try to make more videos. I hope this was helpful. I love you guys. Hope studying's going well, and hope more is to come. All right, good luck studying, and I'll see you at the next video. All right, peace.